Hello and welcome to the Irish Mammy channel. My name's Katrina and today we're going to be opening up my Fruithill Farm delivery. You can see there in the background I have ordered a ton load of compost for all different types, seed and pot and compost, and I have a little brown box there at the back. You can see that is my onions and garlic, a few seeds and different things. We're going to go through it now anyway and you'll see all that's in it. And today I'm going to be sowing seeds as well, so we're going to go through that and take you along with me. So this is my very exciting order from Fruithill Farm. Majority of it obviously is compost. I ordered 3 different types of compost this year, seed starting compost, and then 2 types of potting compost, one for annuals and one for perennials. It's the first time I've ever had different pot and compost for annuals and perennials, so we'll see how it goes. Probably most of this won't be used actually until the spring anyway, but I like to have my orders in early so I'm sure that I have everything well beforehand. Also in the brown box, we're going to open that up together. Like I said, a lot of soil amendments this year is what I've ordered. I've had a few issues in the season past there, so I want to try and see if I can get rid of some of those issues through soil amendments. So we'll go through it all now, as well as sowing seeds. So I'm excited to go through this. It actually arrived last night or yesterday evening and I didn't have time to deal with it, so I took the box off the pallet and threw it into the shed and said I'd take it out today and go through it and let everybody else see as well. So, and it's a wee while ago since I done the order, so I kind of half forget what I ordered. So it's like Christmas morning here to me as well. Okay. Right, so the first thing I ordered was a solution called chelating agent. So we've quite high pH soil here in in this area of Cavan anyway, and high pH can make it very hard for your soil to take up iron, the iron deposits that are naturally in the soil. So this chelating agent should help the soil to uptake iron, and I've noticed it particularly in my hydrangeas and my California lilac as well. Actually, both had quite yellowing leaves most of the summer. After their initial spring growth, their leaves turned quite yellow with green veining, so that was one of the signs that they're possibly getting it hard to take up the iron in the soil. So hopefully treatment with this will help them. Now they'll not be getting this now till next spring, but like I said, I like to be organised, so I have it got early. So that's number 1. Oh, now this one I'm a wee bit ashamed to show this on the camera. So this is Slug Killer. That's actually probably backwards looking for you now. But I don't generally like to use slug pellets. Certainly wouldn't use slug pellets that weren't certified organic or for organic use. And I do not encourage anyone to use slug pellets unless they're suitable for organic growing. Not even for the health of yourself who's going to be eating the produce, but for the health of birds and wildlife. The population of our native birds has drastically dropped due to slug pellets being in such common use. And if you don't already know, the reason the bird population has dropped drastically is because they feed on the slugs and toads and snails and everything that are actually affected by the slug pellets themselves, and in turn it kills off the birds. So these ones are only use a type of iron as far as I know. I'm not exactly sure what there it is, anhydrous ferric phosphate. As far as I know, that's some kind of an iron compound which destroys the slug but doesn't do any damage to any other wildlife that may feast on the slug. Anyway, needless to say, sometimes a gardener just has to use this this time of year when it's usually damp and dreary, although I have to say we're having a great spell of weather this last while, and it's given temperatures to increase for a week or so now. So a bit of an Indian summer, but usually this is the time when the slugs will be really out in force, especially if they have young seedlings to feast on. And I'm having some trouble in the raised beds there with lettuce and spinach, and I think maybe the slugs are contributing to those problems. So we're going to do a wee job on the slugs and try and get the lettuce to grow. Again, I don't use it all the time. A lot of my seeds I start directly in trays for this reason, because I don't like to use the slug pellets. So if you start your seeds in trays and plant them out as, you know, slightly more mature plants, the slugs don't tend to deal with to annoy them as much. There's nothing nicer to a slug than lovely fresh little seedlings jumping out of the ground. I can imagine they're lovely and tender, so they're particularly tasty for the slugs, and of course baby slugs as well, so that have been breeding all over the summer. So the slugs that are out now in force are the younger slugs, and in order to grow they're way more prolific on the plants, so they really go to town as opposed to the older slugs. But anyway, the slug pellets don't differentiate between old slugs and young slugs. They wipe them all out. Oh yeah, I have these seeds. I was actually short of these seeds, I think, the last time I was sowing seeds. So this is rainbow chard, and again, oh, this is I remembered it's backwards. Back to you in a second. So this is the rainbow chard. It's just a multicolored type of chard that I grow just for baby leaves. So it ends up being a type of lettuce, really. It's used as lettuce in place of lettuce. Oh. And yeah, so there's yellow, red, lilac, orange, so it says in the packet. And it will grow outside really well all over the winter. And then this is just a Chinese leaves mix. Let's see, does it say what the actual yeah, so a mix of Mizuna, red giant, green and snow. Oh, now I'll test the French. Moutarde rouge métis. Basically, I think that's a red mustard. Maybe red frills mustard, actually. Not because I know the exact translation in French, but because I know a type of mustard that it probably is. So we'll be sowing those later on. Also here I have the garlic. I ordered a couple of different varieties this year. I think I've grown this Germador before. So that's a 250 gram pack. 4 bulbs of garlic in that. Actually, maybe I ordered 2 of them, did I? I did, yeah. I thought I ordered more than 4 bulbs of that. So I ordered 2 packs, so that's 500 grams. Just make sure there's not any more hiding in here when I'm on here. No. Okay. I ordered 2 packs of this, so each bulb contains roughly 8 to 10 cloves. So remember, when you're sowing garlic, it's the individual cloves. So these little individual cloves that you actually sow in the ground. So 8, we say there's 8, 4 is 32 and 32, so that's 64 potential bulbs of garlic for next year. And then I also ordered a different type. It's a new type to me called Vigor Supreme. And this actually, if I recall correctly, it told me that there were nice big bulbs, so it grows to nice big bulbs. Now they don't seem any bigger than normal from that, but anyway, well, maybe that one is quite big actually. Anyway, it will remain to be seen next June or July when we're harvesting them. So I have plenty of garlic now. I have extra for, I think my sister might be going to take a few, and a few other people. So I won't be sowing it all myself. Now, ordered this as well. This is diatomaceous earth. I actually ordered this for my chickens. So it says there 100% natural pest control. This is good for mites and different small tiny insects. Also can be used in the garden. Outside in the Irish climate it's not great. Obviously a shower rain will wash it off, so it's more, I actually bought this more so for my chickens to try and get rid of some little pests that they're dealing with at the moment. The next one is seaweed meal. Now this has a variety of uses as well. It can be used in the garden as soil amendment, or it can actually be fed to animals. So I may give some of this to my chickens over the winter, but I will also be using it to amend the beds. And of course seaweed is very high in trace minerals. And then I also have seaweed dust, and again another soil amendment, obviously much the same, but more for soil structure as opposed to the seaweed meal. And last but not least is my onion sets. So these are for overwintering. Now most people are familiar with growing or planting out onions in the spring, but you can also sow out onions over winter. Now they have to be particular varieties that can overwinter. So I can't remember how many kilos. This is 1 kilo and it's a radar onion, and there's also a Japanese variety called Sentiu that is suitable for overwinter. I'm sure there's many more, but they're just the two I'm familiar with. I always order the smaller onion sets. So when you're ordering your onion sets, it may say on the front of them, or if you're ordering online you may have a choice. These are 10 to 21 millimeters, and you may get 21 plus millimeters. I would advise ordering the smaller ones because there's less chance of fungal growth in them and all sorts of diseases, and they're less likely to bolt as well come next spring. That's it, a very small haul. Actually seemed like a lot more when I was putting the order through, but it's just enough to keep me going. No doubt there'll be a few more things ordered in the spring as well. So I'm going to go and gather up all my seeds and get my compost filled into my little compost bin here, and I'll bring you back when I'm ready to sow seeds. And I just wanted to add that since it is given warmer weather now for the next week or so, I won't actually be sowing my garlic yet. Now I will be bringing you along in a different video when I'm sowing the garlic, but just in case you're all jumping out ordering your garlic and getting ready to plant it, I'd leave it off for another wee while. You can sow it any time from September to maybe February, ideally mid-October. It's generally cold enough come mid-October. The reason you actually want it cold, the clove of garlic has to be subjected to 6 consecutive weeks of cold weather, and that is what causes the clove itself to split out and produce more cloves and turn it into the actual bulb. So like I said, too warm at the minute just to start to plant out yet, but who could have predicted such lovely fine weather at the end of September and beginning of October. So I'm glad to have it, and be sure that I have got the stock. That can often be an issue this time of year, getting garlic that's in stock. So I had my order in quite early, and that's why, like, I would have ordered this quite a while ago, a good number of weeks ago, and they don't send it out until the garlic comes in stock. So if you're on the last legs ordering your garlic, I would encourage you to go ahead and get it now before it's all gone out of stock, if it's not already. Okay, so I'm going to go through my seeds now and decide how much of each plant I want to sow. I line them up in the trays and make sure I have enough space. Some things I want to sow a full tray of, and other things I won't. I might only sow one row, which would be 8 cells or 8 plants. So it just depends on what the plant is. I actually went through my seeds maybe 2-3 weeks ago. I picked out everything that I can sow for winter and stuck it into this bag. So it's that long ago from I packed it up. I forget what I have in it. So I'm going to go through it now, and I'll come back when I've decided what I'm actually sowing. Okay, some life-changing decisions have been made here. You'd think I was being asked to choose between my children when I'm deciding on seeds to sow. I'll take you over here and I'll show you what I've finally decided on. Okay, so I've decided I'm committing 1 full tray to lettuce leaves, or lettuce type leaves. So the first one is winter density, and I don't pay any attention to what the seed packets say as to when you can sow them. I've said before, winter sowing is risky, and I'm definitely taking risks with some of these, but you know, I've had experience growing a good few of them. They're going to be undercover as well, so a lot of the seed packets are given sowing and planting times for outdoors, so hence why I pass no remarks of them. So the first one is a cost type lettuce called winter density. As the name suggests, it's quite hardy, and that's the thing about what we're growing over winter now. They're all hardy varieties of leafy plants and some roots that produce obviously below the ground, like carrots, turnips, things like that. They're hardy as well. The next variety of lettuce is endive. I like to have a nice variety of textures and colours of leaves. Just when the notion does take me that I have a nice variety of colours on the plate, and of course for nutritional benefits as well, different colours and textures all have different nutrient properties. They're higher in certain nutrients than others. The next variety, this corn salad, very well known hardy variety for the winter. And if you notice, if anyone buys those salad bags in the shops over the winter, mostly what you will be getting in them is corn salad, known as lamb's lettuce as well, and chard. Actually, that's usually what's in them, and you may get some shredded beetroot. And after seeing how easy it is to sow and grow them yourself, you'll realise that you no longer need to buy those bags of prepped lettuce in the shop to be thrown out a week later. Winter purslane. This is an unusual type of a plant in that it's like a succulent. If you're aware of those house plants, you know, that are squishy, like an aloe vera and different plants like that, this is related to them. It's quite a funny texture to eat, but I like to grow it just because it adds a little bit of variety to your textures on your plate as well. Then spinach. You're all aware that my spinach isn't growing very well outside. Actually, I have 1 tray already sown a few weeks back for winter sowing, which 1 row of which was spinach. So I have actually transplanted that outside now in the spinach bed, considering that my seeds didn't germinate very well. But this is the new packet of spinach that I bought, and this time I'm going to sow it in the trays and bring it on rather than sowing it directly in the ground, and hopefully that'll get us ahead a bit. And I'm going to sow about 4 rows of that one. The next one is the Chinese leaves. So this is just a nice mixture of different type of leaves. Some of them will be quite spicy. There will be mustards involved. I think I've actually gone through what is involved in these, or contained in this packet. So again, a couple of rows of that, and once you keep picking them, they'll grow on all winter. The chard I've already spoken about, and then spring onions. They won't grow very much over the winter, but they will take off again in the spring. So I'm going to get some sown now and started, and I'll have a harvest from them in the early spring. Then I'm going to do another full tray dedicated to brassicas, which are all relations of the cabbage plant. So the first one here is this Copenhagen market cabbage, which doesn't look like that, but that's what it's called. And again, don't go by the seed sowing packet, because again, this is going to be indoors. So this one's telling me I can't sow it past July, but I'm going to test that one out. So I think I have 3 different varieties of cabbage here, so they're all probably going to mature at different times. And remember, some of these will bolt on me if they get too cold over the winter, but they won't all bolt. So I'm sowing plenty. That way, if they all come to fruition, I have plenty to give away. And if they don't, then I still have enough just to feed the family. So this is cabbage earliest of all. It's obviously, like the name suggests, an early variety, so I'm expecting to have that before the real winter kicks in. That should be ready. And I, again, in the tray that I've already sown that's ready for planting out, I have some of that as well. So this variety, cabbage Savoy Perfection, as the name suggests, is a Savoy type with the nice lovely bubbly leaves on it. Very winter hardy variety. So this will probably not be ready until late winter. I'm guessing the end of January, maybe even as late as the end of February. But again, I think I have these all well timed. So the earliest of all should be before Christmas. The Savoy Perfection should be coming after Christmas, and I'm not expecting this one, the Copenhagen market one, until mid-spring. So I'm hoping to have them well spaced out, but who knows, they could all have their own ideas and decide maybe to all come at the one time. But even that doesn't matter. I have plenty of extended family that can benefit from a few heads of cabbage. This is kohlrabi. I don't eat a lot of this kohlrabi, but I'm going to be sowing maybe 1 or 2 rows in these trays. The main thing I would use this for would be as a replacement for cabbage to make something like coleslaw, or even shredded up in stir fry. So it's like a cross between a turnip and a cabbage is basically what it is. So it's a hard root, and you only eat this ball. It looks rather spaceship like, with all these stalks sticking out of it, but you don't really, well, you can eat the stalks, there's nothing to say you can't, but generally you're growing it for this swollen root here, which I would liken to a turnip or a swede, but has the taste of cabbage. So usually shredded up and cooked in stir fries or left raw, but you do have to harvest it young now to eat it raw. And as you can see there, a good source of iron, manganese and folic acid. So again, a good alternative to cabbage for making coleslaw, which like I say would probably be the main thing I'll use it for. And then lastly here in the cabbage tray is going to, or the brassica tray, is going to be Brussels sprouts. Again, I have some Brussels sprouts sown already, and this I'm only going to grow about 1 row, I'd say, of the Brussels sprouts as well. So and I don't expect to get them until well after Christmas. The other ones that I have sown already I may get for Christmas. So I've divided my brassicas now between 2 trays. I had that many varieties that I wanted to sow. So the second tray of brassicas is going to be the broccoli, cauliflower, and then I have swede and turnip. So the Marathon F1 broccoli, F1 variety that grows really, really well, nice uniform head on it and a nice big head, which is exactly what you're looking for. Some of the older varieties, or the ones that aren't F1s, would be, or heritage varieties I guess you'd call them, they come more like sprouting broccoli, a smaller head on the top, and then they keep sending out shoots, which isn't a bad thing either. But just over the winter I prefer to grow this variety that grows 1 big head. Now it will, of course, when you harvest the main head, it will send out smaller sprouts as well, but not as prolifically as most of the Calabrese types of broccoli. 2 varieties of cauliflower. One I have grown before, the Igloo, so I'm familiar with that. Nice white curds, that is what they call the cauliflower. And the leaves grow up nicely around it to cover it in to stop yellowing. This Candid Charm F1 is a variety I have never grown before, so can't tell you too much about that, but I hopefully will be able to tell you more in the spring. The next one, this Swede Wilhelmsberger, not grown this particular variety before. I have a funny feeling this is a Swede that grows with has a green top on it, as in the top of the root is green, as opposed to the ones we'd normally be used to that have a purple top. Now I'm not just 100% sure on that. I'm kind of putting myself on the spot there with that one. But nonetheless, Swedes grow quite well over the winter, especially if they get a good start, which hopefully they're getting now. And then the last one in this tray is going to be a turnip. So I'm always getting mixed up between Swedes and turnips because they're very similar, obviously, plants. And here in Ireland, for some reason, we always call Swedes turnips, just to confuse things even more. So this turnip, called Gold Ball, I'm expecting a nice yellow variety. I did sow it before, so you can see the packet was open. I have sown it before, but it was back in spring, and I started them in trays and stuck them into the greenhouse, or sorry, the polytunnel, and all they done was bolt on me because it got far too warm in the polytunnel. So hence why I am now trying them again over winter, where they won't get as much heat. And let's hope that the cold doesn't bolt them this time. And then the last tray here, you can see this is actually a deeper tray. So I just want to say that this, what I'm growing in this is a sugar snap pea. Now I'm going to sow a full tray of these, but I'm going to be growing them in different places. So some of them will go outside on a trellis, some of them will go in my greenhouse here on a trellis, and the rest will go in the polytunnel, which actually I've just remembered I haven't even shown anybody yet. I must do a wee tour of that when I am actually planting it up for the winter. But just to say that peas are a legume plant, which have very deep roots, or what you want is you want the roots to grow down long and straight. So these little ridges on the sides will help the roots to grow down nice and straight, so that you're not actually messing them up too much when you're planting them out, because if the roots get too badly disturbed, it can really affect the growth of the plant. I want to add that is actually the same for the turnips and Swedes. As a root plant, they don't want their roots disturbed very much either, and some people would say to not sow them at all in trays to transplant, that they should be just sown directly in the ground. But I have found in my experience that if you are very careful with the wee seedlings when they're coming out of the trays, to just, you know, if you see these trays, they have holes on the bottom of them, on the bottom of the wee cells. So I would be just putting my finger up and pushing out the wee plug plant and putting it directly in the ground without disturbing the roots really in any way at all, just getting them straight into the ground. So I think now that's enough talking done. It's time to actually get some work done and get these seeds sown. So I'm just going to put it on a time lapse. I think that's the handiest way to do it, because otherwise you could be sitting here half the evening watching me sowing seeds. So I'll just do a wee overview of it then at the end. So I just thought when I was filling up the tray, it might be interesting to actually go through filling up the tray with the compost. So you may have noticed I just kind of rubbed the compost between my hands just to get all the big lumps out of it, and then I just ran my hand across and let it fall into the holes. Next then I can see there's little dimples all over. I just poked my fingers down ever so slightly, just gentle pressure on the soil, just to compact it down. You don't want it absolutely jam-packed into it, because you're looking to keep it nice and fluffy for the root of the seed, when it germinates, to actually be able to go down into the compost. And so the lighter the less dense the compost, the easier it is for the root to go down. So I just wanted to point that out. So I have the wee dimples in there, and then I'm just going to go along and top them off then, just to get them nice and full. So you're aiming to get all the air pockets out, because if the root hits an air pocket, it will actually stop growing. So that's why you want to eliminate any air pockets, but you want to have the soil still loose enough so that the root can actually go down, which is its natural instinct, is for the root to go down into the soil to take up the nutrients and water. So some people might laugh and say that it's not exactly rocket science, but there is actually a wee knack to it. Right, back to the job in hand. So I like to write up the labels for the plants first, and that kind of gives me an idea of how many rows I'm going to sow of each one then. I just find it handier to have the labels done first before my hands get absolutely filthy dirty. Right, so I've just rearranged all my trays there. I'm going to get these all filled now, then get the labels stuck in and get the seeds actually sown. Now, so the first tray I'm going to sow is the peas. This is when I'm just going to be sowing the whole tray with peas. So all I'm going to do is put a little dimple in each cell. Just so you want the seeds to be sown about twice as deep as the actual seed itself. So you know the depth of a pea, quite small. If I put it up to my finger there, it's about halfway up my nail. So really I'm looking to dimple a hole into the cell that's about up to my first knuckle. So I'm going to go through each cell and just put a little dimple in it. I'm going to drop the seed into it, and then I'm just going to kind of rub the compost over each one. Now I'm not going to do it individually like that. You'll see I'll just have it all done in one fell swoop. I suppose I'm a pro at sowing seeds at this stage. I've said before, sowing seeds is my absolute favourite job in the garden. There's something about sowing a seed in the soil and it turning into a lovely plant, germinating and turning into a lovely plant. It's really is it's kind of a fascination for me at this stage. So again, I'm going to put it on time lapse and get all the seeds sown, and I'll show you just the trays at the end. And I'm also going to show you the tray that I already have sown a few weeks ago that's ready for planting out as well. so I have all my seeds sown now. I'll definitely keep you updated on those. I'll be showing them throughout other videos as well, to keep you up with the progress of them. And then I just want to show you now the ones that I have sown already that are ready for planting out, just to give you an idea of what kind of size you need to wait for them to grow to before you plant them out. So this is a tray that I sowed, I'd say about 4 weeks ago now at this stage, and they're definitely well ready to be planted out. You can see some of the leaves here starting to yellow, which is a sign that they're actually deficient in nutrients, so they need to get into the ground to get more nutrients taken up by the roots. And I really have a kind of a selection of everything. So sprouting broccoli, I have a couple of rows of sprouting broccoli, Brussels sprouts, a row of Savoy cabbage, another one of those Copenhagen market cabbages, that one there, another of the earliest of all, which we've sown today as well. Ruby Perfection is, let's see, where is that one there? So Ruby Perfection there, a red lettuce, and the other one beside it is red drumhead. Lovely red, you can see the lovely purpley and greeny purple leaves of those. 2 rows of those, and they'll keep really well over the winter, and those 2 rows will be plenty. We don't need a lot of it. The next one is the igloo cauliflower, which we have sown more of today, and then kale. So I have a couple, well, let's see, Siberian kale is actually all I've grown. I thought I had more kale than that. And 2 rows of the Marathon F1 broccoli. So that'll be the first harvest when they grow on. I still hope to have them maybe early December, because they have got a good start at this stage. So I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me today and seeing the seeds that I'm sowing and what I'm doing for growing over the winter. If you've enjoyed what you've been seeing, please subscribe, like the video down below, and share it on your social media. And I'm hoping that I may have inspired you, if you haven't yet sown your seeds, to start. It's given a gorgeous week coming up, perfect weather for germinating seeds, so why not give it a go?